the passenger side fender, just kind of recording where I ended up with on final position. So this oval opening is centered on the hole in the radiator core support. Now, I don't know if the core support's going to end up in the same place. I have to take it off in order to put the engine in, or more easily put the engine in. But nonetheless, this kind of ended up being in the center. All right, this is at the cowl. That one you can see is a little bit offset with the fender out. That is not going to move. And yeah, I need to get the hood off, so can't get too far with getting this fender off with the hood still in place. So on the rear of the passenger front fender, that spacer goes behind. This is the one that goes into the rocker panel, so up and into there. So this spacer goes behind the rear upper, up against this in the door jamb. So the fender's on here. I'm gonna put it up. I'll take off the hood spring, hood hinge, and then clean up the area around that opening, that hole, and fill it. So in this view, the hood hinge spring assembly, it's down as low as it can in the slot there, as up as it can in the slot there. This allows the rear corner of the hood to sit as low as possible. And there's a patch under there. And get the Bondo out. And while I'm at it, I'll go ahead and hit some of these other spots. Like there. And there. A little bit of skim there. There and there and there. There. And closing off the welding I did there. We're down to what I'm going to call the bitter end here of Bondo work. Spread some filler there and here and there, and sanded it, and I just have one touch right there to fill in a void. And then I went around and looked for some more pencil marks. Went around and looked for some more pencil marks. Found that the ridge of the leading edge here seemed a little crooked. So I've layered that up pretty thick. We'll see if we can rebuild straightness there. And then the last places where I could find pencil marks, had a little void there, and then some little chunk was missing out of that. So we'll let this cure. We'll come back and sand those. We'll shoot the primered with some high build primer. We'll shoot the sanded bare metal parts and bare Bondo with high build primer. And then we should be ready to wet sand the entire car. So those sections now got a base primer on them. I think that's just scuff. Down in there, yep, on the prow of the hood, and then back in there. So I'm gonna let that cure a little bit longer. It's pretty warm in here, and then I'll shoot it with sandable primer. Primer is on. There might be some slight voids, pock marks, whatever, but I've got some body putty. So what's next? Well, in order to paint this car properly, in my mind, I need to remove both doors. That will allow me to paint the door jambs on the body, as well as the leading edge and trailing edge and underside of the door, and So I will I will sand the primer, wet sand it, shoot the base coat, and then clear coat just those surfaces. And the same thing with the other door. And on the fenders will come off because I need to or want to paint this hidden couple of surfaces along the inside here. And the hood will come off because I want to paint that side there, and probably, yeah, definitely that back in there as well. And finally, the trunk lid will come off, and the reason for that is so that I can shoot the underside, which is supposed to be body color, and I can also shoot all of this of the body that will be covered up by the trunk lid. The intention is to paint this car with the doors and the hood and the trunk all closed and all of this assembled, and that includes the these taillight housings that are on here. So let's move on and remove the doors, and then I'll have to get some help to remove the trunk lid and the hood. So on the other side, I was able to get the paint stick into that gap on the front edge and the trailing edge. So here it's a little, I think the whole door needs to shift back a little. I think I have the adjustability to do that back on the hinge. So when this one goes back in, this will be my template. Trunk lid basically is pretty straightforward. Just center it. It's pretty snug up here at the leading edge, but that's okay. The hood is definitely a fairly straightforward centering thing. I like the way that the fender here kind of lines up front to back with the scuttle cover, cowl cover. Cowl's pretty close up in here. So anyway, I will take note of any spacers that are in any of these things that I'm taking out, and continue on. The hood hinge on the driver's side had one of these spacers and a washer on the leading edge, and then on the trailing bolt it had two of the washers, and that was to try to get the entire hood assembly to go that way. So I'm pulling off that hinge now. Focused on the driver's side front fender, there is a spacer there underneath that one. There is no spacer underneath this one. There were no spacers up in those front. Those are the 4 shorter screws that go in there. Does not appear to be a spacer underneath this one. And I don't know about the bottom yet. We'll come back to the bottom. For comparison, this one with a point, that was the one that went into the firewall in that location, smaller washer. Well, the larger washer, no point, was the one that went into the top here. And this one appears to have a smaller washer, so we'll see. This is the bolt on the underside of the drivers, and there are, I feel, three spacers right there. And it's a big headed, larger hex on the side. It's actually 4 spacers. One thick, looks like one medium, and one thick, and then 3 thinners. Along the way, I had lost one of these, we'll call them gills. The car had 18 originally, and so I just have sort of kind of collected them when they came to me. The two red ones I found at a swap meet. Somebody was selling a bag of them at a different swap meet. So I'm up to 38, and I'm going to go through and pick and choose which one has the nicest, cleanest looking chrome. And then we'll scuff up the surfaces, and they'll need to get masked and shot in primer and so forth and so on. A couple more things that I had forgotten needed prepping. These hinges for the trunk, so they were in good shape. I scrubbed them down with Scotch-Brite, wiped them down with prep, and then the other item that I worked on got cleaned up, got primer, are the hood hinges. So while the trunk lid hinges will get painted body color, when I cut in that area around the trunk, these will get painted the black satin of everything else under the hood. Got black on these. So that one's all satin. That one started out satin and ran out, or the can clogged actually. There's plenty left, just can clogged. So I shot it very lightly with a semi-gloss over the first coat of satin. We'll see how they look when they're dry and next to each other. Yeah, got some more satin paint, and I'm hitting that with a second coat. The underside of the trunk lid has been Scotch-Brited to scuff up the epoxy primer that's on there. Also, obviously, I've hung some plastic to mask off all the crap hanging on the wall behind it. So this should be an okay position to get through. It's out of the way. I'll put a little bit more plastic in here, or not. There's not much to protect there. And shoot everything that faces outward here. Probably also catch the edge a little bit. And this, again, as we'll get body color, base coat, clear coat. The wet sanding has begun. The door laying like this, I've wet sanded edges, kind of bled into here. Obviously didn't touch the cream and come all the way around. A little exposed metal there, so I hit that with some etching primer, and then that's all smooth. Also got the face inside here. Okay, on to the next door. After taking a break from sanding to patch a rust hole in my air compressor, I got back. This is the other door, and I've gone ahead and sanded all of these, we'll call them inside facing edges on both fenders. And I also sanded that surface and that surface on the cowl cover. So what's left? The hood. I haven't figured out how the heck I'm gonna set it up. I mean, there was some talk of setting it on, covering the car with a tarp, covering the engine compartment with a tarp, setting the hood on there, but I don't think I can, because then I block access to here. I don't know. I thought about putting it up on cinder blocks to get it up, and unfortunately that then blocks off access under there. My last resort is to take a rope and wrap it, and suspend the hood from the ceiling. I've got relatively stout rafter in the center, but then the question is, you know, where does it make sense to suspend it? I suppose I could suspend it off of that. That's a two-person job getting that up safely. Anyway, I guess what I'll do is go back and finish sanding the jambs in the car body, and then the opening for the hood, the trunk lid back there. So back on the fenders, I need to paint the trailing edge here. I need to paint all across here, and I'm debating whether I need to paint the leading edge. I do know that down low, I know it bolts on to the radiator support up here, but that's going to get painted. I think something bolts somewhere in and around there. Not really seeing what. I know these ends of the grill surround have to screw to something. I would have thought it was in this area, but I'm not. Oh, okay, it's these two here. All right. Yeah, I'll paint this whole face here and not worry about the leading edge, because that will get painted when it's all assembled. So it might be tight getting back into here, but we'll do what we can. Right now, I've got the compressor going. Hopefully my JB Weld patch on the leak in that is holding, and I will be cleaning this brand new gun. I've had good luck using this gun in the past. Yeah, it's a cheap Harbor Freight. Yeah, you can spend way more, but again, I've had good luck using this gun for shooting both the base coat and clear coat. By the way, it comes with a 1.4 millimeter nozzle tip, which is what's recommended for both base coat and clear coat. I didn't spring for the throwaway inserts for these. Yeah, just a little more time of cleanup. I'm not going to be using it that much, so that's it for now. Yeah, well, there's a video out there on setting these guns up. I'm going to watch it now, and then I'll run the lacquer thinner through it, and as I'll make the adjustments that the painter on YouTube that I've seen once, I'll see again, says we need to do to get both maximize the airflow through the gun, and set this up for full when you're pushing full, and then adjusting the fan pattern there for shooting the base coat. All the wet sanding is done of the surfaces that I'm going. Actually, I think I forgot that. I'll do that. I decided, because that's a continuous surface, that I would go and do just that portion, and I would mask off the facing part of that A-pillar cover. Anyway, on to masking then. And this is how I'm going to mask the door. I use the good masking tape directly over the previously cream painted surfaces, and then everywhere else just use the cheap masking. And so the intent is body color, obviously up to the line. The door panel is supposed to come outboard here, so even if a little bit of the paint color is brought into the interior down around the bottom, I'm not going to get excited about that. I'm not closing off all of these holes, only because if the paint is going to go into this interior part of the door, I don't care, especially since I've covered the cream, and so overspray is not going to affect that. Move on to the next door. First, I'll come back to that so that I don't forget again, and then on to the next door. Second door is masked, and the hood is masked. So next on the list, well, I won't be masking the fenders because overspray is okay. I won't be masking the trunk lid because overspray is okay. I do need to mask this opening, and I do need to mask that opening, and I need to mask the engine compartment. So onward and forward. Executive decision made. The cowl cover is off. I see no reason to paint it in place. It just makes masking much more difficult. So it's off. I will probably hang it, I don't know, over in that area and paint it suspended. The other thing I did was I removed the A-column covers and just decided I will mask just the cream and then body color everything else, and then those will go back on before the final painting of the car. Well, it's not pretty, but it's effective. So we've got the car body masked off to protect the interior, protect the trunk, keep overspray out of the engine compartment. All the other pieces that need masking have been masked. Everything's been wiped down a couple of times with water just to get the dust off. And tomorrow morning there'll be time to come out and wipe everything down with the grease and get the right name for it. There it is down here. With that, final wipe solvent. And then we'll shoot. I've got just stuff jammed in holes, jammed in the window area there, towels and such. So I've got a tire to get covered and we'll be good. The floor's been vacuumed. It's time to wipe all the surfaces down. And then I need to mask, turn off the air conditioner, mask it, and then mask that opening. Probably mask down along there. Open up that window and put a screen in it. Open up that window, put a fan in it, blowing out with the filter protecting the fan. And then I'll be ready to mix paint and start shooting. Here's what it looks like after the first coat is on, the dusting coat. This coat needs to be very light. Just trying to get coverage over the primer, and then the next coats can go on significantly thicker and you reduce the risk of runs. That's what was left in the cup after shooting this. Not a lot of paint went down, but it was just a quick coverage of everything. Pretty happy with the setup of where all the parts were. I was able to get to all the surfaces that I needed to. Nothing too crazy. And onward and forward. Now the fog is lifted and the clear coat is dry to the touch. So I'm going to remove all of the masking. This is the before removal of the masking shots. Yeah. Some of these, like down in here, there's, I don't remember what it's called, some sort of trim that wraps around there. And I knew the doors are just going to be what the doors are going to be. Oh, look at that. Something's not cured yet. Probably a shooting underneath there. Oh well. Nice color. Starting here, showing the combination of interior to exterior to the black. Makes me maybe think a black convertible top. We'll see. So I already showed you that. All of the masking has been removed now. And all of this that is outward facing will get sanded. The plan is to put all the panels, hood, trunk lid back on, and doors, and then sand what is outward facing before shooting it. I didn't do any sanding, so you really feel the difference between the finished and the not finished. Yeah, I really like how the gills turned out. Just take it out in the sun. Wow, that's a color. Love it. So everything that got paint was gray primer, because that's where the high build was, and the later epoxy primer was gray. This I primed a long time ago, and it was black. So kind of got to get the right light. This will probably be a little bit darker than the parts that were painted, but that's under the hood. So everything else, like I said, had the lighter gray primer. So, like I say, oh yeah, the number of coats. So I got a light dusting coat on, followed by 2 good, generous base coats, followed by 2 generous clear coats. And you know, there were some stories. I overfilled the cup once with clear coat. That was lame. The base coat, I don't really have any stories. That all went on pretty well, although I did kick the hose. I was suspending the gun from there, and so the hose was running to it. Normally I disconnect the hose, but I didn't do it this time, and of course I kicked it, and that made a little bit of a mess. And then the other thing is, I took so long to use this clear coat and I couldn't tell, the hardener coagulated. And while I didn't plan on shooting more than 2 coats of clear, because none of this is outward facing, it was just more of a protection. That was all I could get out of it, so I'm happy I got that much. And yeah, everything seems to be set up and catalyzed. I won't necessarily say cured, maybe it's cured. So really happy with it all.